Mistakes happen. They do. It's just a fact of life. Everybody makes them. I know I make my fair share of mistakes. Sometimes things just don't go your way also. Variants just might decide that today's not your day and a round from a AI-controlled AAA gun's going to take you down at 3 kilometers out of nowhere in the middle of the map. That's definitely happened. Sometimes you might make a judgment call based on the limited information you have in a very short window of opportunity, which ends up not being correct, but at the time you made it, looked like it was the correct choice to make. It's not always clear-cut or black and white, but it's important to be able to look back on a match and see what went wrong and how you can improve for the next time you're in that situation. Now in these next 2 clips, I'm going to be showing you 2 fights against a LA7 pilot who's definitely no beginner, and I'm going to be trying to pick apart each dogfight and explain to you where I went wrong and where he made some interesting decisions that I'm not exactly a fan of. So as I'm taking off in my Ki-84, I get surprised by a LA7 that is at a higher altitude and energy state, who dives on me, and I roll to evade. Now, instead of zooming back up after his initial attack, he extends away a bit and comes back towards me directly head-on. Not sure what he was trying to achieve by doing that. Basically, he let me attack him and put myself in an advantageous position on his 6 o'clock. Now I'll just pause here real quick to give myself a second to explain what's going to happen. So the LA7 entered a steep climb. I'm assuming his intention was to try and rope-a-dope me. He was hoping that I would follow him up, I would stall first, giving him a window of opportunity to shoot me as I was basically stationary and completely unable to avoid the attack. Now, I'm confident that my Ki-84 can at least match his LA7 in a climb, if not beat it. I made the judgment call that his aircraft would stall first, making it so that he would not have that window of opportunity to get a shot on me, and I would end up behind him. In these sort of tip-over stall situations, which are going to happen here in just a second, you want to deploy full flaps and remain at full power until the very moment of your stall to delay the stall as long as possible. My one nitpick here on what I did was I think I dropped flaps a little too soon, and I could have squeezed out a few more feet into that climb, delaying the stall even further. Also here I feel that I've left the throttle open for far too long in this descending scissors, which will lead me to a very bad outcome. It doesn't get me killed, but because I left the throttle open, I picked up too much speed and pulled too hard, and since this is 1.53, blackouts are now a thing, and I'm unable to maneuver for a few seconds. I get very, very lucky that I was not shot down, since he got at least 2 chances to shoot me down there, as I was basically stationary. But now I've recovered from the blackout, and we're at low speed and low altitude, and this is where the Ki-84 really has its advantage over the LA7 in my opinion, or at least the main advantage. I think the two are fairly similar aircraft in what they try and do, what their playstyle is. There are some trade-offs between the two. I believe the LA7 is the faster of the two aircraft in a straight line at low altitudes. I think it also retains higher states of energy better, but as I said, At low speed, I think the Ki-84 is superior. Just like in the previous engagement, the same LA-7 pilot makes a diving attack, which I roll lazily to avoid, hoping that he would follow the maneuver and I'd be able to force a quick overshoot in his scissors. That's not the case. This time, he zoom climbs immediately to preserve his energy advantage over me. But he does it in such a way that I believe the rear fuselage of his aircraft blocks line of sight to me, and he loses sight of me. I wasn't really sure of this at the time, so my initial plan was to make for that bank of clouds here that I'm heading to now, and try and create a soft ceiling that makes it hard to boom and zoom through. Now, since I have figured out that he has actually lost me, I go vertical and pull back towards him, sort of lessening the altitude difference between the two of us. He's actually descending, and I believe he's trying to spot me against the sky. I'm pretty sure that was his reasoning. Now we're going to merge again, but this time he doesn't even point his nose at me and pulls off to the side. I turn in sharply towards him after the merge, although he seems a little indecisive as he originally started to turn to the right but rolled back towards the left. This moment of indecision makes it quite easy for me to fall in behind him. And unlike the last engagement, I know that this guy is no beginner, so I'm going to be a bit more hesitant to go full throttle the entire time. I don't want to be shown the same trick twice and fall for it, knowing it'll happen the second time around. He enters a dive, which I'm not too thrilled to follow, so I will eventually pull off and let him extend away, and try and climb and preserve my altitude. The LA-7 is faster on the deck anyways. I'm not sure which out of the two aircraft actually dive better, but I assume it's his. Now, as I'm watching him extend out, I take a moment to take a look around at my surroundings, and I see behind me that there is a dot approaching me. I look back at the LA-7, and I can see he's starting to come back around ever so slightly. Now, this makes me assume that this is another enemy player. So, since it's now 2v1, I decide to take the head-on attack from this interloper, since I was in the disadvantage. Ki-84 might be a great dogfighter, but I don't like my odds 2 versus 1. Now, I did momentarily lose track of the LA-7, which is definitely not ideal, but I spot him soon enough and turn back into him. Now, once again, we pull sharply into each other after the merge. I'm being very careful here, not to pull too hard as to make myself black out. So I'm being a little cautious with the throttle here until I'm very certain that I can pull as tightly as I want without worrying about blacking out. Now, the LA-7 is engaging in a battle of maneuver with me, which probably not for the best. I think he could have extended out a bit and maybe climbed away, but he's bled too much speed, and I'm able to smoke his engine here. I'm very cautious that he's going to try and force me out in front, so I drop combat flaps to create just a little more drag on the aircraft and keep myself slow as possible. and I'm watching the underside of his wings very intently to see if he drops landing flaps. And as soon as I notice that he does, I'm about to cut the throttle and drop my own landing flaps. Because I really don't want to be in front of this guy. Smoking his engine and then getting shot down by him would be a little embarrassing. But it doesn't happen. In fact, this is the end right here. I probably didn't even need to fire. I think he would have crashed on his own. But there we have it. Anyways guys, I hope that you maybe found this video at least a little bit helpful, and that you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you next time. And until then, happy hunting.